Hello and welcome to today's news from Vanguard Live. My name is Dablola Ogunshakin. Let's begin with the front pages of the daily. Starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with healthcare crisis. What government can do to end mass migration of doctors. That's coming from Nigeria Medical Association, NAD, AMLSN, others. Says migration of medical personnel putting pressures on healthcare system in Nigeria. You can see that story on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. On page 26, UNGA, federal government renews call for permanent seat at United Nations Security Council as South Africa's Ramaphosa seeks end to trade weaponization. You see that on page 26. On page 12, Tinubu honors Ogoni 4, moves to restart oil production in Ogoniland. Tinubu meets with ex-Rivers Administrator Ibas Edun, EFCC chair at Aso Rock. Page 32, Sport, FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Zubairu raises hope of lifting elusive trophy in Chile. Top banner on page 19, CBN warns against Naira abuse, hoarding of currency. Exploitations of subjects as Obaladoja ascends throne as 44th Olubadan. Restructuring key to Nigeria's sustainable development is coming from XGF. You can see that story on page 8. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, Oscar Ibro dies at 67. Oborivori others mourn. Away from Vanguard, we move to the Punch newspaper. The Punch story says NNPCL secures 318 billion naira to fund new oil exploration. FAAC subcommittee probes spending for frontier exploration. Budget office warns Nigeria loses 60% of oil income. National oil firm pays zero dividend to federation account. Experts push private exploration. You can see that on page 2. UNGA, Tinubu aligns with calls for Palestinian state. Infrastructure decay cost Abuja Kaduna train derailment that's coming from NSIB. And mortuary stranded as a flood overruns Lagos communities. Pages 4 and 5 as the stories. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper and top, we have I will protect Yoruba interests if elected president. That's coming from Article. The Guardian's headline this morning says political parties or SPVs raw override multiple dormant parties that INEC considers 14 more. Page 6 has that story. Lagos state government deploys a survey to manage HIV spread treatment. Federal government renews commitment to ending torture, upholding human rights. And below the banner, Tinubu summons Ibas to Aso Rock amid financial probe. Lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, Rep raised panel to monitor Tinubu's Naira for crude policy. You can see that on newspaper 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And lastly, the Nation says Nigeria offers solution to debt crisis in developing economies. Tinubu seeks reordering of world order in UNGA 2025 statement. You can see that on the front page and it continues on page 2. Tinubu orders restoration of oil production in Ogoni 4 gets national honors. No entry qualifies for 2025 NLNG awards. Advisory board declares. You can see that on page 4. President gives full backing to Nigeria's bid to host the Commonwealth Games 2030. Top banner, we have Wike State new viable to deliver more projects. Government of 50 motorcycles invade Kwara community. You can see that on page 5. And lastly, on the Nation newspaper, Olubadan or Baladoja will modernize city. All set for coronation. You can see that on news page 5 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Dablola Ogunshaki, and joining me to analyze some of the stories on the front pages this morning is Mr. Oludari Maiwa, publisher, Good Financial Digest. Good morning, Mr. Maiwa.
Good morning, Dablola. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Now, let's start with the healthcare crisis in Nigeria. And what do you think are the main push factors currently forcing, doctors to grade as the jackpot syndrome?
Thank you very much. It's more pathetic and daring than what people actually see at the surface. If you have ever visited any of the health facilities in the country, there's really public sector hospitals, you'll be amazed at the level of shortage of personnel in those facilities. I've happened to have visited some of those facilities in recent times, and it baffles me that one doctor can be attending to as much as 50 patients a day, if not more. That's the kind of thing. I remember one day that someone was saying that most of them are not available, and they are overstressed, and probably the pay are not worried in any sense of it. So, in fact, many of them moving out of this country to a greener pasture, like somebody said. So, most of the doctors you can find, some of those places are student doctors who are probably assisting those people. I remember a doctor attended to me in one of the public sectors. It was a student doctor was sitting, the man had to be teaching him what to do, what to write, how to write. That is as bad as that. Was telling the guy, no, don't do that. Erase that, do that. This is what to do. It was the one that I had to be tutoring him, and it showed the level of shortage we have in the system. And government need to really wake up fast if you really want to improve our health sectors in many ways. Because the student is very pathetic, very dear, very dear, and you can't blame those doctors. After spending so many years in universities, coming out, and they're receiving peanuts. And if there's a point to earn more money, why not? So government need to really up the game, review the wages, review the condition of service, and ensure that I have more people employed so that the doctor will not just be drinking Coca-Colas just to stimulate their energy and to keep working. And many of their diamonds died on their job. So they need to review the condition of service really to attract more hands and to retain more hands locally.
Okay, how critical do you think is in upgrading the hospital infrastructure in order to stem migration? Because that's one of the reasons that the doctors also gave.
In fairness, in some of those policies that government is trying to upgrade the facilities, and the private sectors are engaging to building facility to enhance the one available in that place. Of course, they need to do more in terms of what I think primarily what is really lacking is the condition of service very poor. Most of those facilities have been provided by the private sectors are not being maintained. Maintenance culture is not very common in this part of the world. So, the most facilities are not being upgraded or not being maintained. So they want to. So government to put more money to improve the facilities, to maintain the facilities, and provide right atmosphere for personnel to work. I think the major issue I noticed, in my recent visit is that the personnel are poorly paid. They are under pressure. I tell you that some of them I noticed that some of them are drinking Coca-Cola, drinking Pepsi, just to boost their energy to continue to work. And the number of people trooping to public facilities are increasing daily. Yet the personnel attending to them are very few. So government to do something about that, address that part of the condition. Because if the doctors are attending to too many people at the time, it might be worried, it might be tired, but we're working for them. And we lost a doctor 2 years ago, a year ago or so. Because the man worked himself work his ass out because the level of condition, and the man was depending on Coca-Cola, things to boost the energy. But most of them, I've seen most doctors depend on that to boost their energy to work, so they can retain the energy to keep attending to people. And that should not be. We should have a number of people, patients that the doctor can attend to at the day. So they expand the personnel level so that they can cope with the number of people coming to the facility. And I think that will reduce some of those them want to run away from this country.
All right, the doctor's body, now they mentioned training, the retraining, and also they talked about career growth or access career growth as priorities. And of course, when you're talking of training, this might involve diaspora engagement. So how do you think they can, how can this be structured in order to retain some of those benefits without losing this talent permanently? Because of course, there are so many experiences of people people sent to training outside the country without them returning.
It's all wrapped up in what you are saying, the shortage of staff. there's no way government will release some doctor to go for training when already they're overworked. There's no space for people to go on training when they are attending to patient daily. They have to attend to patient daily, and if you release some of those medical personnel to go on training, that means you increase the shortage, the gap personnel required in that facilities. So for me, it's a very dire situation because over there in UK, US, for example, there's shortage of medical personnel. There's high demand for medical personnel from this part of the world. So there are high demand, the nurse, the doctors, and the rest. So that's the attraction for migrating out of this country. I've been more than 5 people that have left this country today by now because of demand out there in Canada, US, and UK. And there must be a balance in that. Government want to find a midway way of training their medical personnel and ensuring that they maximize the use of them. Because if you are overusing them and there won't be a time for them to go for training, then their fatigue will set in. And if you have a point to get out of this country, they will get out. So I will employ the government to create that balance for them so that they can give them, expose them to more training, upgrading their training, upgrading their knowledge in modern medicine, and give them the facilities, the comfort, and the right wages, so that they can be more effective and efficient, so that they can be pleased and happy doing the work. Many of them are not happy doing the work, but are just doing it under pressure, and they are doing it because probably there's no open way for them. I'm sure many of them, they have the opportunity today, they will migrate out of this country. So government will try to create that environment for them to meet their needs in terms of training, in terms of wages, in terms of facilities, in terms of comfort and welfare.
All right, let's move away from that. NNPCL secures 318 billion naira to fund new oil exploration. Now, the 318 billion naira is drawn from 30% of production sharing contracts, PSC profit, automatically deducted for the Frontier Exploration Fund. What do you think about this?
I think the challenge with the NNPC is accountability. Because they are in business to explore, to produce, and to do all manner of business in the upstream and downstream sector of the petroleum sector. But I think the problem we have with that institution is accountability. How are they accounting for resources they are deploying for exploration? For example, they have done some exploration in the north, in some part of the north, and we have had results, we have had the frontier announcement and the rest. What has come of it? So if you are investing in a place and you are thinking you can produce and you are not producing, you are not recouping your investment in those areas. So there should be accountability for the money from them. How are they deploying the resources they are getting in terms of producing maximum result and profit for the country? The NNPs will make profit and pay dividend to the owners, which is the Nigerian government, state, local government, and federal government. But if you are exploring in those areas, then it's like money loss. And a company like that, if they are listed on the stock exchange, the shareholder would have been probably selling their share by now because they are not producing the right result for the shareholder. It's a right return for the shareholder. So government must ensure that NNPCs are accountable to the owners, to Nigerian people, through the government, and ensure that whatever money they are getting to conduct any search, any exploration, or any production should be well spent and well accounted for. And that's what government should demand from NNPC.
All right, let's talk about politics now. Independent National Electoral Commission, they've moved to register 14 new parties, despite the fact that we have a lot of dormant parties. So what do you think about this? Because so many people are, arguing. There's a debate that Nigeria's democracy needs more voices for inclusivity, while we have others who are also against this because of the dormant parties that we have on ground.
Unfortunately, the constitution grantee freedom of association. So INEC is between a deep red sea and the devil the way, because constitution guarantee freedom of association. So we cannot debar people from creating more political party. But there must be stringent. What I advocate is that there must be stringent condition, guidelines for establishing such association. Because, for example, I remember was it 1999, before a political party could be registered, then you have to participate in some elections and be sure that you're able to win certain number of seats in those elections before you are qualified to be registered as a national political party. But most of these political parties we have today, many of them don't have one single seat. They have not won any vote anywhere. In fact, many of them have not scored 20 votes across the nation. And you keep wondering, why are they established? What purpose are they serving? So there must be a very stringent criteria to ensure that you weed out those who are just there for relevance, those who are just there because they want to queue against a popular party just to get a bit of the cake. So there may be stringent condition applying before you can. I register a party in this country. There must be tests done to ensure that they are really qualified. They are really party who want to contest election, and so that we certify that people are not being repressed for being associated. But if this is not done, we come to have people just go there, just make noise and get political party and become chairman of political party. So when they are calling meeting, they are there. They are using that platform to negotiate for their personal interest, not for members, not for people. So things need to be done so that we can weed them out and can reduce the number. And there will be clear cut guidelines so that everybody will do that. If you are not qualified, you are not qualified. That's what we advocate really.
But does INEC have do they have a sufficient capacity to effectively monitor and also enforce compliance from these parties?
You don't have it. No, INEC is saddled with so many responsibilities: conducting election, conducting a registration of voters, monitoring political parties. They are doing a lot of things, and you can imagine a single organization, and they are not doing it well. I've not seen how they are saying, oh, they have visited the offices of this political party. These are findings. No publication. There should be a regular visitation, regular engagement with political parties, and ensure that you say you have offices in 2/3 of the states in Nigeria, that they must be visible. You visit those places and acknowledge that those offices are functional. There are many of those ones that are just their bedroom or the chairman that they are their national headquarters. So I'm not sure the INEC has that capacity to monitor them to ensure effective regulations. So that's why they are doing a stringent guideline to ensure that we don't have mushroom political party are doing nothing and being a drain on the economy and just occupying spaces. You can see sometimes during the election, you see the ballot as long as as a whatever rules. So we need to reduce that. That should be. We can learn from a economy like America and UK or Canada and the rest. There are very few political parties, 2 major political parties, and those few minor too. And these people are not just political party; they are contesting for position and they have the capacity to win election. Not that because somebody is a chairman of political party and people want to win election, they say I'm aligned, I'm collaborating, and they're a coalition. Coalition does not amount to anything. So there should be a regimental regulations to ensure that people who are actually floating political parties are doing so because they want to contest election and they want to participate in the electoral process, not just for personal satisfaction.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that there's freedom of associations, but critics argue that some of the small parties, they are just shells that the wealthy use more than they use more than the genuine political movement. So how do you think INEC can prevent misuse of registration process and all other things?
Yes, I think there's a very easy way to do that. If you are say a political party, bring your register of members. For For example, there will be you set a condition whereby the political parties should have number of members in a particular ward before they can qualify to be registered. In those days, it become a fanciful thing to become an aspirant. You just go and print posters and become a candidate of one political party, and you are running around as if you are somebody. And now you see people who printed cards and say they are president candidate of social party, and they can't even win the one apart from their family votes. They can't even win their own constituency. So there should be. Let the INEC says, look, for every ward or 2/3 of this country must have, members, verifiable members. Verify their members. If they say they have members, they have 50 members. Verify them with their NIN, with their whatever, And they have a register of members. And how many of the members are participating in the activities? Monitor this meeting, monitor the Congress, so that they ensure that they are really having those numbers, not that people are just loading their register with fake name, fictitious name, who you cannot track, cannot trace. So there should be measure to curb, because when you have too many political parties in the system, they clog the process and cause confusion at onto the electorate. For example, somebody was discussing recently that ADC and APC can be. You can go to the literate and say ADC and APC are the same thing. Doesn't know the difference between APC and ADC. So a lot of things cause confusion in the system, and people just mislead them to vote for people they ordinarily don't vote. So there should be a stringent measure. Yes, there are freedom of association, but there should be condition. You just want to register, there may be a condition you meet before you can be registered. And this thing, let the register of members. If you have a party and say you are in what so, and you have 50 members, and they verify, you don't find out that only your families are registered there, they should disqualify you. So these are the process. There's this simple process of doing this thing, that they must have registered for members in wards. For example, they must be able to contest local government election and ask at least one councillor. So that they know that they are in a serious business.
But Mr. Mara, don't you think when we have a large number of parties, don't you think it increased the complexity of ballot and potentially contribute to invalid vote or voter apathy?
No, because they are not really they don't function as a political party. They are function as extension of the person who floated the party to probably get grant from somewhere, probably just negotiate political position with the ruling party in the state, the local government, or the federal level. I knew of a guy who, there was so much noise when they were creating the political party for the youth. Then one of my friends was one of the members of the party. Eventually, they fell apart. Today, the person is the special advisor to the president. The candidate was the chairman of the party. He negotiated his way to opposition. So there are many people there are many political parties that what they are doing, what they are aiming at, not to contest election, not to deepen the democratic process. If for them to negotiate their way into political process and to be relevant in the system. That guy is a senior advisor to the president today. Yet he was running a political party, their position and the rest. Once they make all the noise, they get attention, and they are called to be settled. That's what they are using the political party to do. So for me, that's not the right way to go. That's why they have to be a stringent measure to ensure that it's the right people that are actually running the political party, and they're actually running political party indeed. They have members, they hold congresses, and they maintain the legacy of their members, and they conduct election to their offices and the rest. Some of them have been chairman for as long as I can remember in their political party. They are chairman since 1999 of political party. They have not holding any convention. Is that a political party? So there must be a stringent measurement to curb them so that they won't clog the process and they won't cause confusion and they won't need to distort what the true democracy in this country.
All right, thank you, Mr. Maiwa, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me today. Have a lovely day.
And you too, sir. And this is where we have to draw the curtain today. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Do what to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website, www.vanguardngl.com.